What's up, people? It's the Real King 10187, and I'm back once again, finally after a long break, to give you an updated deck profile on my Constellars. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Basic staples for the deck, starting with Aljady, Pollux, Sombre, and of course Cost. And it's your basic engine for the Constellars. I've been going back and forth with Sheridan, and at first he was working out pretty well, and all in all, I ended up taking him out. He is way too huge of a Veiler freaking target. Algady's fine. At least you can protect him a little bit more. He has a little bit higher attack, and he's just easier to run with. Alright, going into a couple of tech cards for it. Starting off with Thunder King. Honestly, opening Thunder King with the amount of back row that I have with this deck is a great opening start. Especially against spell books and even dragons at times, so it's a great opening move and good way to slow down your opponent. Next up is Cyber Dragon. For obvious uses, combine that with freaking Cost, going instant Pallades, and then also have a couple of a tech spell card that actually works pretty well with him as well. Then going into Bear. Just the one bear. I've been testing out a lot of varieties with this deck, between 1 and 3 bears in this deck. I decided to just stick with the one, can keep the consistency with just the Constellar engine, and leave it at that. And lastly for the monsters is one Honest, because as you can see, pretty much the entire deck with the exception of bear is light. Alright, moving on to the spells. 2 Tinky to search out your bear and your Pallades, and then the Rhoda to search out Pollux, and then some of the base staples: Book of Moon, Dark Hole, and for this build I'm of course running my 3 MSTs because hey, back row is freaking huge. Whether you like it or not, regardless of what build what deck you're going against, back row and those field spells are a pain in the ass. Next up, I'm running 2 Forbidden Lance. I prefer Forbidden Lance over a lot of other tech cards for this deck. It's just helpful in one, protecting Pallades once he's out there and prevent him from having to use his effect before I actually want him to do it. And overall, it keeps my my single monsters until I'm able to get my combo pieces out and pretty much keep them protected. Alright, a couple special tech cards for my particular build of Constellars. I'm starting off with main deck and 2 deck lockdown. This card is so freaking crazy. Main deck for this. We're talking the main matchups with spell books, dragons, and of course your Mermail freaking matchup, and even works a little bit with against Evil Swarms as well. It's just a great card, a great opening card, especially if you're leading off with Pallades and then deck lockdown right next to it. It's just a great opening start for you, and it doesn't clash with the deck at all. You're not special summoning out of your deck, and you're also not really doing a whole lot of searching other than Tinky and Rhoda, and chances are you'll get those played before you run into deck lockdown. And then my second tech for this is Instant Fusion. When I first built this deck, I was running Instant Fusion and kind of going into a kind of a turbo variation of the Constellars, and I want to kind of go back to that, and I'll show you the monsters that they go up into. But basically, the engine is basically to go into Pallades as early as possible and get those combos off. Alright, next up for the traps, some base staples: Book of Moon, Compulse, Warning, and then Torrential. And then leading up with 3 Fiendish Chains. Needless to say, it works against pretty much a variety of freaking decks, and I can just continuously bounce it with Pallades as needed. Then I have 2 Mirror Force and 2 Deep Prisons, just some extra protection. And then I teched in 1 Soul Drain, and once again, just like deck lockdown, it works great against the meta, and it also does not clash with Constellars at all. I can continuously bounce, I can still get my combos off, and my deck is not affected at all by it. Alright, moving on to the extra. Starting off with my Constellar monsters, my booster, my 1 Omega, 2 Pallades, and of course M7. All those are pretty much self-explanatory, with Pallades being the key card for it. Then go into some base rank 4s, Jin, Dweller, and of course Starlight. Then I got Adrius, who is my 1 dark target for my Eradicator, and then his partner in crime, Tierce. Now I got a couple of tech cards I'm throwing into my extra deck as well, and that'll be Dolka and Lagia, because I'm going to be siding in my DNA surgeries, and this deck works wonders with DNA surgery, so why not go ahead and throw in the Lagia and Dolka. And for my side deck, for the rest of extra, I got Chimera Tech for that 1 Cyber Dragon, and then my instant fusion targets of Ojama Knight. And again, instant fusion with Cyber Dragon or instant fusion with Cos means an instant Pallades, and I can either not waste a normal summon or not waste an additional summon and go straight into Pallades. Alright, last but not least, into the side deck, one-dimensional fissure, good for your matchups against Mermails, also pretty good against a lot of your rogue matchups. 2 DNA surgeries, Eradicator, self-explanatory for your spells and your traps. 2 guns and matches, which works wonders in this deck as well. 3 Imperial Iron Walls, works against pretty much the majority of the format. Mind Drain, I know it's kind of weird, but it does actually work pretty well. Some against a lot of the rogue decks, but it also works pretty well against Mermails, depending on the hand that they get in the matchup. But it does work out pretty well. Now I got in 2 overworks for your Fire Fist matchups, as well as your Spellbooks matchups when they're stacking up on Star Halls. And finally, 2 Vanity Emptiness, self-explanatory up on that. Feel free to comment, like, and dislike if you choose to. Subscribe, and let me know what you think.